Hi, I'm high, and I just thought I'd start talking and see if this turns into anything. The gummies have kicked in, and I was listening to good music. In fact, the last two songs I just listened to before I turned the music off was Dream Police by Cheap Trick, which just completely took me back to high school, and then Love Is Like Oxygen by Sweet, which took me back to elementary school. I was just feeling it. Thank you, gummies, for that. I really needed that today. I called out today because I worked a 1 to 9 shift followed by an 8 to 4 shift. And with rheumatoid arthritis, between that and CPTSD and kind of the stress I'm under right now, I could not. I slept 9.5 hours last night. I went to bed at 8:30, and when I woke up, I had my coffee because I was like, I'm definitely gonna need coffee. But then I just did not feel. I was still extremely. It's funny because when you tell people you're fatigued, when you have something like rheumatoid arthritis or any autoimmune disease, any disease, but I know with RA fatigue uh, is just as debilitating as the pain to me. I'm so used to the pain, but the fatigue just, and the actual definition of fatigue is like utter mental and physical exhaustion to the point where you just can't function. And that was me this morning. I just, I could not see myself even getting in the shower, much less putting in an 8 hour day. It just was not going to happen. Leaving my bed, leaving the apartment was just not going to happen. And so I took 2 naps today. So I took 5 hours worth of naps today because I obviously needed it. And I thought I might get some calls done, and that didn't happen. And I'm not making myself feel guilty. I'm not going to feel guilty about that because RA is a motherfucker, and CPTSD isn't that great either. But it's a challenge. Let's put it that way. It can be challenging. But when she is pushed to her limits, uh, my RA infested body, uh, it's not. It's an autoimmune disease, but it feels like it has taken over my body. It attacks everything that is innocent, not like somebody we know, and and then when you really get sick, it's like I'm not prepared for this. I'm so into destroying your joints and all your organs. So yeah, I know what to say. I kind of took. Oh, my friend um, suggested to me. First of all, she complimented me on how my videos were looking better, and so I can't love her enough for saying that. I rewatch them all the time. I don't edit them. First of all, because I don't know how yet, and I do not have the bandwidth right now to learn that. It'll happen. I even want to get a little. This is my approximation of a little like in the corner. See, I don't know what I'm doing, but like in the corner of the screen, it would be a picture, really well, like outline. I've seen Trixie do this on her, like Trixie's Pro Tips that shows up on her makeup channel. I want one of those. Cause see, I talk about serious stuff, but I don't. I also talk about stuff that I find ridiculous, hilarious, because that's what's saved me. That and Klonopin, gummies. Remember, these are the gummies I use off hours. And the link's down below. Anyway, so my friend had said that I should, see, I'm getting off on a tangent. I don't even remember what I was saying. She said I should make a YouTube, make a Instagram channel that links to my YouTube channel. And I was like, yeah, that sounds a really great idea. And then inside, I'm like, ugh. Sorry. I got off Instagram several years ago. It just, and I hadn't planned on returning to it. But there are some like long time old, not old, they're not old, but friends that still follow me, who still follow me, who I haven't seen in many years. And I cannot tell you how addicted I am to that you can add a song or parts of a song to your, not only to your account, but to your like little sign, your little logo. I am so hip to the whatever this is I'm doing. Influencer? Can you see me influencing anybody? Only to like stop raping people, that would be great. And to be kind. And to don't litter and stop smoking. Not weed, but cigarettes. And really shouldn't drink anymore. I know. My friend's coming into town later this year, and I will probably have a few cocktails with him, so I understand. But then there have been times when we have gone out when he's come to visit, and I have not partook. And that's a big deal for me because I'm always more relaxed when I'm medicated. It's true. When you have, complex post-traumatic stress disorder, it takes a village to get to this level. It takes pharmaceuticals and plants. And I'm not even talking about just my gummies. I'm talking about because I eat a plant-based diet, a vegan diet. And I didn't do it for my health, but it has definitely benefited my health as well. I was getting that. My mom and my sister had it too. I was getting that like menopause pouch, which is something that I always kind of had. What I think it comes down to is that I was holding so much cortisol, in my body from the chronic stress of my childhood. That's what I'm going to explain away with. So, and my sister and my mom had it too. Imagine that. But anyway, so like I felt like I always had this. I was like a size 4 in high school, and I was afraid to wear a bathing suit in public without a cover up because I thought I was fat. It only takes one parent, and this was my mother in this case, and so I always give her grace because she herself was and is very unhealed. But I remember her saying to me once, I guess I was a preteen, which is the perfect time to say this to your child. She told me I was big bone. And that has stuck with me, obviously. So I've had, before they called it body dysmorphia, it was just, I hated my body. I was disgusted by my body. Everything about it disgusted me. But then I disgusted me on the inside too. If your parents don't love you and then they, abuse you and they're your parents, then obviously you're not lovable, right? That's what I thought. And yet I would try over and over again. Not my mother, my father, to gain the love of my rapist, child abusing father, Alfred Silliman Perry III. There's your intro, Dad. Oh, something I'm very proud of. Oh, but let me finish. So I wanted to put a little. I'm getting a little better at trying to stick to the topic at hand. A little picture volleyball in the corner, like Trixie's little pro tip. Trixie's pro tips on her channel. See, we're returning. We're coming full circle. And instead of like saying pro tips, it would like count the number of times I either go off on a tangent, so we're talking triple digits, or how many times I reference Trixie and or Katya. And I thought that would be cute. Just something, because I'm talking about serious things, but like I said, I'm just repeating myself because I remember having said that earlier in the video, so I'm just going to stop right here. Anyway, the second nap got me feeling not totally exhausted anymore. I could get out of bed, and I didn't feel like I was going to fall asleep 5 minutes later. So it only took 5 extra hours, plus the 9.5 hours I slept last night. So I really need about 12 to 14 hours of sleep every night. And you think I'm joking, but I'm not. 8 hours doesn't cut it for me anymore. And I've always been such a good sleeper. It's just when your work schedule is such, I try to stay as in routine as possible, but it's hard. Now, this is the only time I've had to do a 1 to 9, 8 to 4, and I know that other coworkers have done that as well. So I figured it was just my time, but it wrecked me. It absolutely wrecked me. So stayed home today and slept, and what did I do? Oh, I listened to music. Oh, I journaled a lot. Oh, I was kind of writing down what I decided if I was going to do a video today, what would I discuss? And so I wrote down some ideas. Oh, and I'm just finishing up. Of course, it's really lovely now. It's like, swamp water. Sorry, I would love to go to the swamp actually and see carefully the swamps, because I'm sure that's. I would love to see that biosphere, or not, is that the wrong word? The animal world and the microclimate of that area. I'm not saying that really well, so just forget it. But anyway, I was just finishing up. I love my tea. So I've been drinking coffee every morning just to make it through this fine week. But my Sullivan Street, here, I'm doing it wrong way. I stopped by there when I ran out of my green tea, and I'm shaking this so hard that you can't see it. And I'd also run out of my rooibos tea, vanilla rooibos tea, which is fabulous too. So I wanted to get some more green tea, the Greenwich Green, which is delightful, which I've talked about before. And I looked on their website before heading over. I am so into like chai teas, but most of them have black tea in them. And I'm just not a black tea person, and I don't want caffeine all day long. I want something at night that's caffeine free. I mean, every once in a while I've done green tea at night, but anyway, that's why I got the rooibos, because that's herbal, and you know what I mean. And then I saw that they carry an herbal chai, which means it's decaffeinated, and it smells so good. Can I tell you how ready for fall I am? Yeah, I just felt. Remember we discussed even the most beautiful, perfect beings on this planet. And in saying that, Lily Bell, I hope when she comes in someday today, or sometime today. Sorry, I'm high. I'm just going to have to get used to that. And this herbal chai, fabulous. So, and I'm assuming they ship. I'm going to just like put it out there that they ship. But you can also get them in the city. And I had the link down below too. It's fabulous, absolutely wonderful. Just I see it going. I love this time of the year. It doesn't say what's in it, but it's all the usual suspects. Plus rooibos, so that's what they use to make it. See, another circle is complete. That's right, it's rooibos, and then it's got all the other chai spices in it, the clove and the nutmeg and the cinnamon, and then whatever else they have in there. Um, it's so I've been enjoying it so much, and it's been cooler this week. Like I said, it's been like fallish weather. Like I'm such an '80s kid. It's not even funny. Um, but today was warmer and humider, more humid, and so even though there was day-long construction going on in the building, which sounded like they were drilling into my skull, but it was not enough to keep me from taking 2 naps, totaling 5 hours. Um, but that stopped around 4, and they're just doing their job. I see them out there, the construction workers, because we had a really hot, I had a couple like really, you know, air quality alert and heat index, terrible heat index. And they're out there. I don't know how they do it. Anyone working outside for a living, um, and whether the can be as extreme as that. And I'm sure people in Antarctica are like, huh, like I'm not belittling people who live on the North or South Pole. Um, oh, see my earring? That's really nice. Yeah, I love these earrings. Let me tell you, I haven't mentioned it before, but like I said, becoming vegan was just a natural thing when I started healing. I was already vegetarian about 5 years before. Yeah, I keep filling with my beautiful earrings. So I'm going to get to the story about these, or not really the story, but why I'm wearing these. And it was just like a starting off point for me. I was vegetarian while I was married. It was funny. I was visiting my mother and her horrible third husband, who we will get into more at some point, but we got a ways to go. And that's why I would never like make my then husband go with me. And then I could, and of course I was really sick at the time, CPTSD that was undiagnosed, and when I was admitted into the psych ward, they said it was major depressive disorder, generalized anxiety disorder, all unhealed in any way, shape, or form. And so I felt I needed to escape or give my poor husband a break. And I'm saying in the sense that he married a really sick woman. Gorgeous. That's it. And, but like I said, with no understanding of what it took to try to heal that, especially when everybody around me was just as fucking sick. But that's the thing. So I would visit my mom, kind of get her away from her third husband, and we could be sick together. I don't know how else to put it, but I know that sounds harsh, but you gravitate towards unwell people when you are unwell because they don't like pressure you to change. Let's put it that way. There's no like motivational talks about we should really seek therapy. I've been thinking about this, and something needs to change. The whole reason we're with them is because they're doing the same thing I'm doing, both just pretending with each other. But I truly will always love my mother. I remember writing her, or I remember her reminding me that I'd written her, I don't know, it was for a Mother's Day card. It must have been while she and my dad were still married, because the writing is very, and I had good handwriting. It was very small childish handwriting. But on the front of the card, it had said, I had written, "My mommy makes me laugh. Not he. And then you open the card, and it said, and I wrote the ha ha ha. And I'm glad that gave her so much joy. I feel like it did because she would bring it up often. And it also showcased my burgeoning comedic timing and talent. And my way with a lyric or a poem or with words. My way with words, which I'm putting on such a wonderful display of. Hey, I'm high, so just anyway. So the reason I'm wearing these earrings, and I just love this little thing. First of all, I feel like I'm Stevie Nicks wearing this. That voice. That would be a reason to keep smoking. I don't know if hers was. I think hers was just naturally that way. She was gifted that gorgeous voice. Oh, I don't know. The cocaine may have something. May have like made it even grittier. I'm not quite sure. And no judgment. I can't imagine being a rock star basically and not succumbing to something at some point. You know, everybody's doing it. You know, especially during that time, 60s and 70s. I mean, not like they weren't beforehand too, but I mean, it was lots of cocaine, lots of. Anyway, I'm getting off subject. Anyway, these just, especially I just like the way the light hits it, and I keep looking at it. I keep putting my finger in the wrong one. Putting my finger in the wrong one. Not. I can't. I want to say it with an English accent, British accent, but I don't have. Ooh, naughty. How was that? Oh God, I did it. I just did it. It's out there and it can't be taken back. I just always think that is like a British humor type thing. Ooh, naughty. I did it again. Jesus. Anyway, they remind me of Stevie Nicks, but these were my roommate was going through her jewelry, and she has some lovely jewelry, and so she gifted these to me, and that is what I was going to talk about. Like everything I wear now, I really try not to buy new clothing anymore. Um, and so I've been using ThreadUp, and I haven't used them in a long time because I went a little bit. Well, you know, when you live like in a scarcity mindset, which is what they want you to live in, and when I say they, and I'm going to say it at normal volume now, they is the capitalistic system. They want you. That's what that's all about. Is like water was free, but we're going to take it away from you. We're going to buy that water. It's become a commodity now, and we're going to make you pay for it. You know, that's what must have blown indigenous people. You know, the indigenous people of the minds of indigenous people in America on this continent when the settlers, colonizers came, because it would never have occurred to them that the land was owned or the water was owned or anything in nature was owned by anyone. That just was not a concept that they, you know. And then how many, and then how long has it been? And we destroyed this. All the things that are happening. Anyway, but yet, yes, the genocide and wiping away their history is diabolical, and that's capitalism for you. Capitalism is diabolical. You know, trickle down. They meant it. They didn't care that it sounded like demeaning. They totally meant that. Think about that. And I heard that through 8 years of, or however long that fucking, yeah, 8 years of Reagan trickle down economics. How fucking demeaning is that? And they said, yeah, trickle down, live with it. And that's also when homelessness actually started becoming a problem was during the Reagan administration. I did not know that, so I did some researching. And the United States didn't really have, fortunately, a homelessness problem until Reagan. So you can thank Reagan and all of his buddies, all of his Hollywood buddies. And of course, the religious right, which has been around for so long, and the Republican Party, which are a bunch of bad actors too. You heard me. Ronald Reagan was no Clark Gable, let's just put it that way. And Clark Gable even pissed me off sometimes. Though I do love the movie he did with Claudette Colbert. In fact, I own that film because she gave as well as she took, and he loved that about her in that film. Watch that film. That could be my film of the week, except I already chose one. But fuck it, I'll make it that one. What the hell is it called again? It Happened One Night, right? It Happened One Night. Clark Gable and Claudette Colbert, and it is pure delight. And of course, the 30s stylings are to die for. It's absolutely beautiful to watch. So yeah, I'll do that other movie. Oh, yeah, because I have to save that one because that one is for a dear friend of mine. I want to do it in honor of him. Well, he's not dead. Sorry, Peter. I didn't mean for it to come out that way. But it's a movie that we both love and we both recreate in our way. We recreate scenes. We act out scenes of this film, from this film, on a daily basis at work. So I told Peter that I would dedicate a video to that film, and deservedly so. Not the whole video, but I'll do that one next time. But yeah, just because that came into my mind, and so good. And how they sang on the bus. Remember that? Anybody watch this film? They're on the bus, and it is so well written and so well acted. And the bus scene is just, I can't go back to the 1930s. I'm not that old, but I can see it in these films and how much life has changed for the worse in this country. I'm saying that doesn't include the still rampant misogyny and post-slavery. Was there still some slavery? Or it had all been abolished by in 1860. God, sorry, I don't know the numbers, and I don't know why I'm getting into this, but I didn't mean 30s as I just meant style-wise. I wasn't discussing how, like Trump says, make America great again, which could be the 1890s, it could be the 1700s, could be the 30s, because things were just as crappy for most of the people on this planet back then too. I'm just talking about the way people people were more connected to each other in these films. Like you're on a bus with a bunch of strangers, and somebody gets out a guitar and starts playing and singing, and they all start singing the trapeze song. That's what I'm talking about. Could you imagine getting on a Greyhound bus or getting on the M train? Well, people do play music on the trains. I shouldn't say that, and on the train in the train station. But nobody's like sings along anymore. And if they did that on the train, people avoid eye contact. And isn't that sad? Isn't that sad? I think that's sad. That's the only point I was making about that. That people were, there was less technology, so um, music was just shared. There was no money involved. There was no copyright. I am getting into this copyright thing. Um, Remember, I mentioned Charles Eisenstein, and he talks about this and writes about it very eloquently in his book, The Ascent of Humanity. It's in front of me, so I'm looking at making sure I got the title right again. He talks about how, again, I think he even mentions in the Constitution that copyright was only supposed to be for a short period of time. It wasn't supposed to be, your lifetime plus 100 years plus this. You had like you were meant to only own or whatever, have copyright uh, rights, copyright rights to the song for a very, because nobody's music just comes out of thin air. It doesn't come out of, you know, I was about to say some black hole, but I'm feeling very like that's gonna come out. But I write, it doesn't come out of the ether. I always think about, I think it was a Beatles, well, it had to have been a Beatles like interview, and then talking about, that song "Come Together," and how they basically just lifted that song from the original singer, if not writer of that song. And I guess they just speeded up the tempo a bit from what they said, and maybe changed a few of the words, but basically if they took another person's song, but then they copyrighted the shit out of that song, like they copyright the shit out of everything now. And I don't, did that guy or girl or woman or whoever wrote or had the basis of the song that they took and ran with, really, um, were they remunerated at all for the? And see, and that's another thing Charles Eisenstein talks about is there is no thought of money changing hands. Like stories pass on generation to generation. They're for free. They're for free, and the music gets passed down, and it evolves too. But it all comes from something before it, and how you can claim that a song or even a book, right? Because, you know, I think I've discussed it before, like David Foster Wallace is a huge reason why I wanted to be a creative nonfiction writer and memoir and write a memoir or speak a memoir, because his words, the way he writes, just blew my mind away. And I don't know where I was going with this, but yeah, his writing came from somewhere, and because and they make it very clear. They're like, yes, you can tell basically in the little blurbs or whatever, or in reviews, they say, oh, you can tell his love for Pynchon or Stegner, or, whatever. Yeah, hardly ever say women. Anyway, so they've obviously taken ideas and nuances, that feeling from other authors. And plus the ideas themselves. How do you own an idea, right? Because that idea came from something else. Charles, am I explaining this right? Anyway, I happen to see that someone I follow on YouTube, oh, Daily Doug, I really like him a lot. First of all, because one of the first videos I watched of his, he's like a classical pianist, and really nice guy. If you look up, maybe I'll put it in the link below. But I think one of the first videos I watched, he reacts to contemporary music, and he sometimes, because he has his keyboard there, and sometimes he plays along. He's a very accomplished pianist, and he also talks about the different keys that these songs are in. I find that very fascinating. How anyone could know, like, oh yeah, that's E major, and then some of the other terms which I've never even heard of before. Anyway, I find him very enjoyable. And the first video I watched, I think, was him listening to "Shine On You Crazy Diamond" by Pink Floyd. Which, you know, that's the thing with Pink Floyd, is you should listen to the entire album, and that's part of the reason why I'm so like trying to get into that. Let's just sit for an hour and listen to an entire album. It was made that way for a reason, one would hope. Um, you know, there's an arc, there's a story being told, or honestly, there should be. I would think, you know, they should all have connecting themes. I would think. Why not just make them singles otherwise? Listen to me, like I know what I'm talking about the musical, but but yeah. So music, books, uh, it just how can you own something that isn't entirely yours because it came from someone behind you, uh, or even a contemporary of yours? You know, it's like osmosis. You pick up. That's why I see. I mean, my writing is nothing compared. I will readily admit, compared to David Foster Wallace's writing. But I do. The reason I like his writing so much is it's how my brain works. And yes, he did hang himself. I'm not. I'm saying that ruefully, a lot, you know. And yeah, I think it was. I learned. I mean, nobody is perfect, but he really had no problems with sleeping with students, and he was a college professor, so college students. Would he be the first college professor to sleep with his students? No. Was it a little disappointing? Yeah, because I kind of had him up on a pedestal, even though I knew he was very imperfect like the rest of us. I guess I just, because of his mental illness challenges, I can relate to that. And I always got this impression that he kind of felt like he was an outsider. You know, people have spoken of him as being like genius level. You know, he was a pretty good tennis player too. There's a great, uh, I'm now talking about recommending books, but I would start with his creative nonfiction first. I have not read Infinite Jest. It's like 1,000 pages long, and I don't know if I'm ever going to have the strength to get through it. I would love to, but I've only read his nonfiction. And my two favorite collections, which are, I think, anyway, two of my favorites are Consider the Lobster and A Supposedly Fun Thing I Will Never Do Again. Collections of his essays. And it is not, he makes, it is not easy reading. And I mean that because he uses language in a way that I had never seen before. And it's meaty, tofu meaty, plant-based meaty. You know, meat just means the meat of a piece of food, like walnut meat or nut meat. Doesn't mean just, you know, a flank of an animal's leg, breast, or whatever. So, yeah. I am just feeling very Parker Posey right now. Oh, I need to watch a Parker Posey movie again. I really like her. wonder what she's up to. Anyway, so yeah, so I started the internet. I mean the Instagram channel, and I just put up like things that kind of have to do with my video that's here. And I also will repost people I adore or organizations I adore. Um, and I am so grateful for my friends who have followed me here on this channel. I think you have to have your own channel to follow somebody on this channel. So I think that some of my friends actually made a channel. Am I wrong in that? Can you like something on YouTube? This is how knowledgeable I am on YouTube without being a YouTube subscriber or having your own channel. But anyway, either way, I want to thank them for following this channel. I talk about selling yourself. My salesmanship, which shows my the trauma that's showing there. But oh shit, now what was I going to say? Oh, I sent them all the one I had asked them. Well, I asked some of them in person, and others I just like started saying, "Would you please like and subscribe to this channel? You don't have to watch it." Oh, and they did, and I am so appreciative of them, and that's very sweet. Because, like I said, I don't know what's going to happen with this channel, but I would like for it to become at least a safe space to talk about what put me on this planet, and memoir in general, and my story. It's also my mother's story, and my sister's story, and my dad's story, and my ancestry story. Oh, which reminds me, I don't know if I'm ever going to get on the childhood thing. That's a memoir today. That's just the way it's going. But I don't know if I told you that when I had 23andMe, I found out I was 0.7% Finnish. And so now I consider myself an honorary Finlander. Is that what they're called? And can I tell you, there's not much more of a progressive country. And it's a young country, too. I don't think it actually became a country till like late 1800s, early 1900s, 1930s, something like that. Reach out to me, fellow Finlanders. And I have no idea how to do a Finnish accent, or I would be the next Trixie Mattel honorary Swede. I almost said Swedenite. I think it's because I saw Courtney Act the other day. Not in person, if only. I would love to talk to Courtney Act. They are just so. I find them extremely smart and articulate. And plus, she's beautiful. And she's vegan. And so it's nice. You think in a city of 8 million people that you couldn't help but bump into a vegan. Well, you bump into people in the city. Oh, and that was something I was going to brag about. We'll see if I can stick to this long enough to remember that. But I don't know. And now, anyway, so I found out. Anyway, so I am very proud of the fact that I'm 0.7% Finnish. My friend who helps me with my ancestry and who gave me the 23andMe gifted it to me, which was one of the best gifts I've ever been given. So thank you. I can no longer afford it, so I don't have it anymore. But what I learned is priceless. So, especially the Finnish thing, because now I'm very into the Moomins, and I found this. First of all, I found their channel on YouTube, and I will be binging on the Moomins. But Tove Jansson I've only read a little bit about her, but she was like considered this, extreme. She was a very famous uh, illustrator cartoonist in Finland. And this family, the Moomin family, and their friends, um, they have um, grabbed my heart, and they haven't eaten it or anything like that, but they have because they're very sweet. Even though there is a little girl, and I'm holding it up still, even though I don't think there's a picture of her in it. And she's called, am I right? Is she called Little Mai? And she's angry all the time. And I can get down with that. Yeah. I think there's movement. I have to get more into it. But anyway, I have a colleague at work, friend, who said she would knit me a pair of moon socks. The only thing is trying to find like used wool, because as a vegan I will not buy wool unless it's used. And even then, wool doesn't feel great on my skin. It feels kind of scratchy, and plus you have to dry clean it, and I don't want to dry clean anymore. I haven't dry cleaned in over 15 years. Hopefully, I'll never have a job where I have to have my shoulders down, because I realized I was just like this. I've always going to sing a song, but I can't because of copyright infringement. Ugh. I'm telling you, people, it's a movement that people are like, this is bullshit. And in the Constitution, even, it stated that copyright should be limited in time so that other people can freely use that material to create new material, and so on and so on. That creates innovation. when you own words, and you own a chord exchange or whatever, you own like piano playing. If you own that, I know I've already said this before, but it makes it less than what it should be. How can you own sounds from the keyboard, and especially sounds that you were influenced by Steve Winwood or whatever, you know? And that's why people say, oh, I hear a lot of this in him or her, you know? It's because there is. And you shouldn't have these copyrights. So I'm feeling much more passionate about that. I don't know if I could start, I don't know, forget it. I don't have the energy to do it. But I am becoming more and more passionate about this copyright shit. So there you go. Read up on it yourself. You can read The Ascent of Humanity, or even just check out him on YouTube, or articles where he writes about it. Just Google in Charles Eisenstein copyright, and you will find information. And he says it much more eloquently than I do, but you can tell he's just as passionate about it as I am. Uh, and he did not write that book on two gummies. I'm almost certain, because I can't even stick to a story for more than 2 sentences, apparently. Um, Copyright. Anyway. And now I don't know if I want to get into the whole kid thing right now. Well, I can do another one this weekend, because I feel like this was kind of fun, and I really needed this. It's been a lot. I've been dealing with a lot. I know we all have been dealing with a lot. And even though I made this Instagram channel, I don't want to get caught up in it again. So I try to just like, and I don't even know like the algorithms, like the best time to post or whatever. I haven't even gotten that far. Though a friend did mention it to me, and thank you very much for mentioning it to me. I did write it down, and I looked at a picture of it because I was born in the 1900s, and it may come to pass. Oh, I need to watch the Lord of the Rings trilogy again, even though it makes me sob, absolutely sob, because I feel I am part Frodo and little Sam. Sam is brave, and Sam is a constant friend. I'm more just like a huge fan of Sam. I stand for Sam, but I felt Frodo's, and I know it's a movie, right? But I read the books too. Uh, but uh, I think I mentioned this in a previous video too, that watching those films, I was going through an extremely tough time, and so the whole burden of that ring and what it was doing to him really, really, and really, really made me sad and felt seen. I felt seen in Frodo, but wished I was Galadriel. Though I never watched the movies where she was young, but I mean, her voice, she looked absolutely amazing in that film, and just some of the lovely things she said. I want to be, if I could live in a world, I would live in her elf world. I can't remember the name of it. I'm not a fanatical. I'm not and I hate to say that in a negative way, because there's nothing wrong with being a huge fan of Lord of the Rings. I'm a fan. I really, really love the films and the books, but I'm no Stephen Colbert. I think that pisses me off too, and only because that was from a Kathy Griffin episode. I was watching her YouTube channel, and first of all, I love her. If she's filming in her home, it's absolutely beautiful. And but she related a story about Stephen Colbert that made me. And of course, we don't really know any of these people, right? I mean, Stephen Colbert himself, that's his name, but it's also a persona. So we don't really know these people at all. But apparently, he did her wrong um, on an appearance on his show, and I just kind of, and I don't watch those shows anymore anyway because I can't take the political commentary. I can't take it. I don't find any of it funny. I can't. I'm just not in a place where I find any of this funny in the least. And I know satire comes and can perhaps even change people's mind and save the world or whatever. But I'm not ready for satire about it yet. First of all, we've got a long ways to go. So yeah, I can't. Jon Stewart's back. I can't watch him. Even though I love his show better than Colbert's anyway. But I won't go back to watching Colbert. Not after hearing his story. I'm with you, Kath, on that one. That did not seem right at all. Anyways, so let me finish. I'm going to stop. How much longer? Oh, I'm going to try to keep it to under an hour. But anyway, so like I said, the vegan thing was just the beginning of my transformation. And it was natural. It just kind of came to me. Like I was saying, coming full circle, I was visiting my mother once while I was married. I would call my husband each night. One night I said, I think I want to be a vegetarian. And he goes, that's funny. I was thinking about wanting to be a vegetarian too. Who knew how important communication is in a marriage? I was not good at communication, and apparently neither was he, really. because we've both been thinking about something that's pretty, at least it's a start to something. It's thinking deeply about the choices you make and what you buy and what you put in your body. And that's a really important choice, let me tell you. I know it doesn't seem like it, and you feel like you're going to live forever. But I tell uh, my younger friends, I said, I see, I really try not to judge them. I'm like, they're eating McDonald's every day or Chick-fil-A and pizzas. They're buying like a small pizza. I get it. I get it. I've been there. I've done it all. I've done that. But um, it catches up with you, and it can cause some serious damage. I think I don't have the numbers in front of me, but statistics, CDC, check with CDC. They probably have it there, or the National Institutes of Health. But they say that younger and younger people have heart disease. Seriously, or the beginnings, the start of heart disease. We're talking people in their late teens and 20s are now, they're already having clogged arteries. And I know that I'm saying this with the knowledge that uh, food, everyone doesn't have equal access to healthy foods. I can appreciate that. Um, it makes me very, 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 very angry. And I know there are a lot of organizations in New York City who are trying to change that. I feel like Brooklyn in general is big into that. Well, there are a lot of great. I haven't been there yet. I hope to get to Brooklyn someday. My friend was looking at an apartment there. She didn't get it, but I still have to go to Brooklyn just for all the vegan food because that's where some amazing vegan food is. But I don't know where I was going with this. Oh, anyway, so the reason I'm wearing all these things, let me just tell you, all the things that I am wearing right now are thrifted, just because as I as I became vegan and I started reading more about uh, why I became vegan, and that's by watching films about animal agriculture and reading books about animal agriculture, looking about animal agriculture. I'm having a hard time saying that. Because it's a hard thing to talk about. I actually wrote a paper about it. That tells you, and I don't even think I was fully vegan at that point. Like I said, it was something unearthed in me when I finally started healing and taking serious medication. But I needed it. I did. I did need it. And I also needed all the therapy that I've had these past 15 years. Therapy cannot go, you need a good therapist too. And I haven't had anyone as good as my first therapist. Peggy Langley Wolf, you were wonderful. If you ever have checked out I linked my blog in the bio, and I write about her. And I described her once. Well, and this shows how safe I felt with her. I, I hope she appreciates this if she ever watches this. I don't know where she is. I know she moved out to California. But I couldn't have been matched up with a better psychiatrist. And so, no, she wasn't a psychiatrist. She was my therapist. More psychiatrist. She was just what I needed to. But I compared her to a croissant warm out of the oven. That's how she made me feel. Um, I was very lucky to have her. And I've never found anyone as good as her. And I've had several. It's hard, like I said, because constantly changing all the moves I've had and being homeless and working part-time, so you are on Medicaid. And I have to say, though, Medicaid saved my life. So let's scrap it, because I wouldn't be here if it weren't for Medicaid. I was also on SNAP. Uh, saved me as well, because I applied for disability and was denied, as 3 out of 4 people are denied because the disability. John Oliver did and I can't watch his show anymore either, even though I really like him, because he dislikes the British royal family about as much as I do, and I live from hearing him talk about them and disparaging them. I just love it. But I haven't watched it in a long time. But he did a show, his 1 hour show. I forget what it's called. Sorry, I'm really plugging your show here. But of course, many more people know who you are than I am. But he does a show on Social Security disability, and I'm afraid to watch it. I've already experienced it in a way, because I should be considered disabled. But the loops and that they make you jump through as a disabled person are just mired in probably corruption and red tape, and either too few people working there or too many people working there and not doing shit. And or they could be being pressured by, it is a government agency, so maybe they have to deal with budgets and they're burned out and they have, because it's going to get gutted, right? Has it been gutted? Like I said, I don't watch the news because I can't take it. I can't take it. And I hear, and I do watch a few channels that I feel give me a very calm, measured tones. I can't watch mainstream news anymore. A few people I can listen to who talk calmly and intelligently about what's going on in the country. So I am getting some, but I have boundaries, people, and I have to put up boundaries about that as well for my mental health. So yeah, I can't remember where I was going from this, except to say that I started thrifting. Everything I wear, they're not sponsoring me, is from, everything I wear except my ring. I love my ring. And I was only able to get this ring because I got it at wholesale. And because I feel like it reminds me of when I was trying to be like a punker in high school. Punker. Can you even call them that then? Yeah, I was trying to be punk in high school because I had friends from all different. I had friends who wore Barry Smiths and even New Order and Joy Division. I had those friends all in black. And then I had my theater friends, and some of them were also in theater too. But then I had my theater friends, even as I got into high school. Some of the in people, which I was never an in person, started getting into theater. So it was this weird. It's all of a sudden athletes came to see the show. My senior year, it was fun. I don't know. It was something beautiful. I think it is. It's they're oh, maybe this would be cool. Maybe if I step outside my preppy box. And let me tell you, the preppiness was out of control. All that leads me to say, I keep going off on a tangent when I'm talking about thrifting my clothes. But yeah, I was never a big I think the most I was into clothes was in high school, because you're oh, I gotta have Jordache jeans. Yes, I just aged myself. Now, my sister got a pair of Jordache jeans, but I will not begrudge her those pair of Jordache jeans. I got a pair of Vidal Sassoon jeans, and I probably wore the hell out of them. I think they were Vidal Sassoon. No, they were Sergio Valentes. Yes. No, they weren't even Sassoon. Remember when Brooke Shields did all those ads for Sassoon jeans? Again, I'm aging myself, but that is not considered iconic, right? Of course, she was like 15, so it was very like cringe too. Or she wasn't. Let's just say she wasn't. Well, she was my age. Probably. We're not that much older. She can't be that much older than I am. Anyway, no, I got the Sergio Valentes. So whatever happened to them? And then what other things was I really wanting? Oh God, thank God I wish I had, and then I'm glad I don't have pictures of me in my 80s. But no, now I really wish I had my 80s pictures of myself wearing my 80s clothes. It's probably long gone by now. That's what's sad, but I can still see it in my head. I would have been if I could have looked like a Benetton ad or what was the other one? Esprit. If I could have been, in the 80s, that's all I wanted to be. But I did not have the funds for those clothing uh, brands. But I still did all right. My sister used to go to the merry-go-round because she wore parachute pants. She had a black pair of parachute pants because um, she was actually in high school, like in the early 80s, kind of like Fast Times at Ridgemont High. She started high school in the early 80s. And so that was more, the Pat Benatar look, the whole thing. Um, and actually, I was going to say, thinking about Fast Times at Ridgemont High, because remember when I was talking about sorry, um, the Clark Gable It Happened One Night film with Claudette Colbert, and how um, it doesn't age well in some ways, the way women are treated. And that's not the only one. Back then that was like the norm, like um but in this anyway, so there's that. But even like Fast Times at Ridgemont High, that was 1980s. Maybe it's because I am like anti-LA and I've never even been there. But the films do it to me. I just rewatched Fast Times actually. And it's because Spicoli is just, that's my favorite part. I love him. I love the relationship he has with his teacher. How was his teacher's name? He's a great actor. Um, you know, I just dug his vibe, and so the rest of the story and the music is absolutely phenomenal. You won't find a better '80s soundtrack than that movie. But just the fact that because remember the guy, the scalper, he was not in high school, and yet he's hanging around high school scalping tickets, right? And and he has sex with uh, I can't remember her fucking name, and she's great. But anyway, the main character, who was like no more than 15, or was she even younger than that? Like 13, like a freshman in high school. Because I was 13 as a freshman. Like I said, I only had to do 1 year nursery school, and it put me on a completely different trajectory. But yeah, first there was the guy who was even older than the scalper guy, probably in his late 20s. Well, who knows? The scalper guy could be in his late 20s. So anyway, these guys are having sex with underage girls, and they're hanging around high schools. That is problematic. That's very problematic. So let's just say improvements still need to be made. Will always need to be made, I believe. But I still love that film, despite the problematicness, because I feel like we have come far. Like I said, it's my least favorite part to watch in the whole film. Whenever they go down to the dugout or wherever they are, I have to do this. We don't have to do this. I have to try. I have to reapply. Trixie. It's my Trixie inspired blue hat. Blush hack, which didn't really work, but I hope someday you will appreciate the effort. But yeah, so I think I'm going to end it now. It's now 1 hour and 10 minutes, and I kept talking about, but look, I'm just going to finish it by saying veganism was just the starting point. It's not an end. I've been learning like zero waste. I'm far from zero waste, but I've really tried to be more zero waste, really more intentional about what I buy. It helps when you don't have a lot of money, but like used, gently used, or do I really even need it? I live in a small apartment. I need less, and I'm really in that mindset now. Where I mean, of course, I need all my medication and such, but I really don't. Like I've chosen the color. I wear navy, black, um, blue. Black is blue. Is navy is blue, but like blue, black, gray, and that not khaki, but the the olive colored khaki. I'm all over that. It's my signature look, if you want to call it that. I'm getting ready to. I only wear like camisoles now, and I get those from ThreadUp as well. I know there are all these different apps, and ThreadUp is so wonderful for me. And like I said, this is just me saying this because I'm not getting paid to say this, but I truly appreciate it because I have a disability, and I don't have the energy, nor do I want. It's hard to go in vintage shops because you have to scour the racks, or thrift stores. You have to scour the racks, and it takes a lot of time and energy that I don't have as someone with RA. Um, and the CPTSD has always got me. It's right, close behind too. You know, but yeah, especially the RA, I just don't. So ThreadUp was like a dog son to me. And I know there are tons of others I could be. But now with ThreadUp, I've come to understand that I don't have to buy the cheapest used item on ThreadUp because it was cheap to begin with, because it was cheaply made and it's not going to last very long. And I've also learned the sizing system of what have become my like go-to brands. So it's like a process, but um, I really enjoy that. I enjoy going on that app and looking at stuff. Now I haven't bought anything from them in a long time, and the last time I tried to send them a bag of clothing, of course, it got ripped into, open, and most of it stolen from my lobby because I don't live in a building with a doorman or an elevator. Let's just say it's all packages are have to duke it out for themselves. And I was like, it was big. I shouldn't have done so much. But the bags they give you are very big. And I don't have to fill them. I understand this all the way. But I just wanted to get some stuff out of here. And, well, all I can say is I hope that whoever took those items needed them, um, that you benefited from them, or passed them along to a friend. So I still have some that I have to, because in that journey you buy things and you realize the fit isn't exactly what you thought it was going to be. I just spit on the screen. Sorry about that. And my excitement to talk about ThreadUp. But I've learned, I have my system now, and this is a particularly wonderful time for me to go on and look. Even though I'm not going to buy a lot, but there are a couple of things I do need. I need some more comfortable shoes. And again, it's because of my RA. I should be getting like orthopedic $200 shoes. I can't afford that shit. I can't afford it. And so I'm trying to look for like wide width shoes that don't have a lot of like tying or anything. This is what I'm saying. People are like, oh, you have RA. You don't realize it changes what you can wear. Like I don't do buttons anymore. I can't have a zipper down the back. Even fabrics. because certain fabrics just like bind in a way. If I have to like take it off this way, unless it's something like this, but like this, I can just like do that. And no, I'm not going to go any further. But it has to be very comfortable. It can't be too tight and restricting, and I have to be able to remove it without too much pain. Or without any pain would be preferable, but that doesn't always happen because my hands, especially, but also my feet trying to. I have to be careful when I take my clothes on and off because balance, and I've been working on my balance because my feet are wrecked and so my balance is off, but I have been working on my balance. And I think that's where I'm going to end it. So, like I said, this just kind of came out of the fact that I was listening to some good music, and I just kind of wanted to. I kind of missed because I was like trying to get the IG thing started, and I'm proud of myself. I haven't spent too much time doing it, but a little more than I think I want to spend doing it. I think maybe, and I don't know how good that's going to be for my algorithm or whatever, but for now, you know, or maybe post one thing a morning, but try to not be on it for very long because I miss doing these videos. I missed it, and that's why I thought, well, I'll have it all set up, and I wash my face, and I put my makeup on, and just in case I got in the mood to do it, and I'm glad I did. And I was all over the place. But that just happens sometimes. It just happens sometimes, and I still think I had some interesting things to say. If you thought you were, if you didn't, if you thought you weren't going to hear about important subjects like my fight against copyright, or my burgeoning fight, or my burgeoning interest, let's put it that way, interest in the whole thing about, first of all, ownership of anything, because this all used to be common land. Oh, I'm getting started again. I got to stop. Okay, that'll be the next video, and I'll get into talking more about. I talked more about the present this video, but we'll get into the past again next time. All right. Oh, I'm gonna watch a new. Friend recommended a new David Mitchell show called The Mitchell and Webb Look. It's on YouTube, and so I want to watch some of that because I've been jonesing for some. I had a crush on David Mitchell, and even a little bit Robert Webb. He's very devious and diabolical. See, it's what it's what you grow up with. You're kind of attracted to those kind of people, but I'm healing because I'm also attracted to David Mitchell, who's very smart and knows a lot about history and funny as fuck and a great actor too. And just he's warm and cuddly. I think Trixie would like him a lot, and I may have said that before. Okay, I'm going to stop recording now. Night, folks. Love you.